stuff. I am live. Today, my video is all going to be centered around the decision that I needed to make around me, myself, and I. I promise it's not going to be as cryptic as that sounds. But today's video is really just focused on money and relationships. And I'm going to share with you my awkward relationship with money that I had within my marriage. And yeah, so I had to make a choice. So the month of December is really just about making decisions. And not only will I be talking about techniques a little bit later on in the month, but I'm going to be talking about real life matters that actually matter, that infiltrate from marriage or relationships or very close partnerships, that goes straight into business, and how that could also impact business. But in the bigger scheme of life, where are we sitting with money and relationships? And the decision I needed to make to set this right in order to set everything right that I had going for me. So, welcome to my channel. My name is Genevieve Stafford Jack, and yet another day this week that I'm coming through live with the video of the day. So, without much ado, we're going to be talking about money in relationship. So, let me give you a quick picture, right? Before I met my husband, TJ, I was one of those ladies that had seemingly had all her ducks in a row, lots of control issues she didn't realize that were control issues because, well, I stayed on my own. I was able to fend for myself, and I had a good paying job. I had already bought an investment opportunity, which is a flat. I had a 2-bed 1 bath in Sapphire Town. I was staying on my own and not leaning on anybody for money. So can you just imagine? I've been working since I was 16 years old. I'd worked from, doing stock taking through to all sorts of stuff that you do as a teenager, into after school, working as a cashier, working as a cleaner, and literally building my momentum up in life. And yeah, I was doing the most, and I was feeling like, oh, Miguel, she's arrived somewhere, but not in a pompous type of way, but in a very accomplished, that sense of accomplishment that you have inside, especially coming from a very high density area and finding solace in the burbs. And I'm staying on my own. So, in terms of my money issues, I had things on lockdown. I pretty much had a budget all my life that when money comes in, I sit down, I work up my budget. I was even told I was predictable because of my income statement and balance sheet and all of these things in life. So my relationship with money was, I was fully in control. When money would come in, I would do what was necessary and I'd live within my means. And if I found that, oh, maybe this month I hit a wobbly, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, I would sit down and think to myself, okay, cool, so how am I going to treat the rest of the month? Well, I had my gas money set aside. All the things that was important to me, I had set aside. I would never, ever touch that money. So when it came to luxuries or doing the most, I would then say to myself, okay, cool. In the next week or two, you're just going to regroup, don't be all out in there and whatever. So by the time I met TJ, my ish was together for 30 something years. Now just think about this, right? Here we are, we in love, we get married. But prior to getting married, we had gone for marriage counseling. And, we would talk about quite a few things. And it was like seemingly easy. Well, it was easy enough for me at the time, right? And here I was, the first time I hit a wobble within marriage, and I needed to ask for help. Do you know how awkward that was? Like, I cannot even explain to you the awkwardness that was Genevieve. And I wonder, have you ever come to an awkward moment in any sort of relationship? Whether the relationship was with money in relationships, or money in marriage, or money and marriage, or a partner, I want to hear from you in the comments below, because here I am. I hit a wobble and I'm thinking, what do I do? What do people in love relationships do at this given point? And I decided, well, all my important things have been taken care of. What would I necessarily would have done if I was on my own? And I reverted to that behavior, which was, then not go out. Don't do all the other fancy stuff that I like doing. TJ's a homebody. If I binge watch a bit of episodes and things like that, it's not some strange behavior. Well, fast forward that, right? Those small little wobbles, I call it small in my space, those small little wobbles eventually would iron itself out because I would default to the behavior that I always had. Here we are in business. We've lost millions. Things are crazy. I need to make decisions on, I am so over the workplace and I'm going to jump into being an entrepreneur and I don't want to be here anymore. And here I did the most crazy stuff in the middle of our dwang, in the middle of our growing debt. I jumped ship and I started out my own business. Month one, month two. Month three, I was skidding on thin ice. And then month four, when I couldn't pull my weight, I now needed to have that awkward conversation again. I couldn't just regroup the way I did things, right? So, what was it again? Decision time. And I had to ask myself, is my pride bigger than my marriage? Is my money issues bigger than my marriage? Because it's not always easy talking about these things. I know it wasn't for me. And ultimately, I asked myself, what do I treasure the most? And I sat him down and I said, babe, I'm not going to be able to come to the party with my side of what we usually do because of the way we've divided and conquered in our house. And you know what? He was like, oh, okay. Well, it's okay. We'll figure it out. I thought to myself, that's snacks. Like, figure what out? How are we going to do that? Are you for real? And all these things went on inside of me. It wasn't half as big a nightmare as I thought it was. And that got me thinking over time because whenever something came up that in my mind, or rather, should I say, my mind was huge, because this is a huge thing for me. Whatever was huge in my mind, eventually when I faced it, the monster wasn't as big. And then I remembered a story one day, and it said, you know, which wolf is going to die in your life? It's the one that you pay least attention to. So I had to pay least attention to my ego. I had to pay the least attention to what I thought was the right thing to do in marriage. And I had to find out what was our right thing. Because it's all good and well going to find out from friends or somebody else that is in the profession of making decisions like, what do you think I should do? But ultimately, I learned it's up to me to make things different, to make things right for where I am. And I tell you, making that decision was the most hectic thing because each time my ego, my control had to chill. And I was caught up in this knot thinking, oh my God, I have failed as a person. I have failed as an individual. The sun should not come out today. Like, I'm dramatic. I am dramatic. And those are all the feelings that was going on inside of me. And then I learned to quiet or make quiet the loudest voice. And making quiet the loudest voice gave me clarity. And I started thinking, I'm not alone. Did I have to go and lose so many millions to realize that I'm not alone in this journey? That money and my relationship or money and my marriage, look, these are the things that are going to be here forever. And then it got me thinking some more. Like, Dawn, do you know that money issues or financial issues break up most marriages, break up most homes? Do I really want to face that kind of terror? Just think about it. And then I realized my awkward relationship that I have got with money in my marriage, money in my relationship as a person with anybody else. Because I'm that gal that when I get to the wherever we need to split the bills, we need to do the things because, like, there's somebody else has to pay for me. Like, let the freaking world open up and swallow me rather. And and when I got to learning that it's okay. If somebody else says to me that's a mate of mine, Jen, I got your back. Like it was used to be the most uncomfortable thing. And when they would say, Jen, I'm here, I would think, no man, it's most lekker mal. You can't be normal. And you know what was the worst? My girlfriends, I could let them have my back. But any of my male friends, I'm like, oh, you lekker in your head, you can never. And that's when I started realizing, my mother and father had this antagonistic relationship in money, and I never really saw them resolve any issues. But there was enough money fights for me to see, hey, this doesn't work out very well. In previous relationships, even before getting married to TJ, I would see that the moment money and finance had to come into the picture in any sort of conversation, I would think, no, 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 you need to see for yourself. You needed to have your issue in a row. And then I realized those were like control freak mannerisms coming out, or territorial stuff. And I was like, my God, even in my friendships, when my mates would say, Jen, I've got this for you, you the lady that is here, we got this for you. I used to think I'm not a charity case, as Mo. Like I used to always think there was some sort of agenda attached to the stuff. And I tell you guys, that's when I started realizing, actually, I don't have an awkward relationship only in money and my marriage. It's across all relationships. And when I really had to look at myself, my biggest decision was, what am I going to do for me as a person to stop this internal war? So, what will you do in your relationship, whether it be awkward or non existing, in any sort of money, relationship, marriage, partnership, or whatever? Because just think about it. If you decide to go out and do business with the business partner, your business partner just hits a wobble, how would you manage it? And it all goes back to, it's not only one section of our life do we think it may be awkward, but it's just so much. But for me, my example today is I really recognized that awkwardness in my marriage. And I was like, oh my days. TJ had to deal with the maniac. He had to deal with somebody that was going through her own set of ish. And I'm thankful that at some point, whatever he decided to say to himself, whatever he did to resolve it, he must have decided, saying, okay, I'm gonna stick it out and see what comes of it. So I want to know, in the month of December, us making decisions, what money decisions are you making? How can you make it right for December so that you don't get into January, whether it be in marriage, partnership, or even in business? Because sometimes our money relationship extends beyond what we just see with the naked eye. So I'm going to again put up here the playlist that points to the relationship that we have with money. Because it again, today we're talking about decisions, but there's a relationship with money, and there's also mindset. So again, what is it that you are after? Fixing your mindset, fixing your relationship. I think these playlists are going to be definitely interesting for you. So click on these and I'll see you in the playlist, either one that you choose.